In this episode of Growing Your Sense of Self Through Self-Defense, we're going to work on a sideways wrist lock. And we've seen wrist locks that, you know, the wrist can go about 180 degrees this way, and we've seen locks off of that. And it can go about 180 degrees, you know, talk to the ostrich kind of thing, this way, and we've seen locks on that. You think of that as the X dimension, you roll over, and the Y dimension that it's rolling over. But there's also the Z dimension that comes out at you. That's the wrist going back and forth this way. There's a very limited flexibility in the wrist in this direction. So it's not 180 degrees. So if you're standing with your hand out like that and try to twist it this way, it hardly goes any direction towards the thumb, a little bit that way. It's maybe 90 degrees that the wrist will move this way. So it's a quicker lock to put in place. And my partner today in this training is going to be my 82-year-old mother-in-law, Miss Joyce. Hey. Okay. So we're going to do this off of a same side grab. Let's see, maybe come over this way just a little bit so we're more in the camera. So if a person grabs, this is a way to start. I'm going to grab here. What she's going to do is open her hand and come up underneath and take my wrist. Now she's going to slide, get both wrists on her hand. Now she's going to bow towards me. Hold this close to her and bow, like basically bow towards me. And if she does that, I go down. She don't have to bend that far. It's just, you know, bow a little. Yes. And down I go. Now, when I go down like that, go ahead and do it to me again. And you can see I'm going to be open for a knee to come up, and she can pop me with a knee if there was more needed than just doing that. Now, I'm not going to actually do this technique to Miss Joyce today. I usually start by showing the technique because I'm trying to spare her wrist. I don't want to do any damage because she's going to be putting insulation up in our crawl space later this weekend. But it's okay. It's okay. It's a very low crawl space. You can barely sit in it. So most of the time you'll be laying down in there on a ground that has a lot of sharp rocks in it. But it's okay because there's black sheeting. You won't see the rocks. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do that technique again. Do it like in a serious way. You know, hold it close and bow to me. You don't have to go bow too low because it'll toss your center of gravity off. So you bow enough. And once my wrist is already like this, if you start to twist it this way, it don't want to go that way. So when one joint's starting to be pressured, the next one has to sort of ease it off. When this one's going this way, the elbow's going to want to go that way. When the elbow's going out that way, the shoulder's going to come back down. So it lowers me and makes me susceptible to the knee. So I grab her by the wrist. She comes up, put both hands up, like you're going to almost praying with your hands. Slide them up to my hand, like you're praying. And balcony, yeah, okay. It's your wrist that you want to balcony. Yes, that's like that. Okay. One more time. Here, so going slow motion up, slide this hand up to my wrist too, and balcony, yes, that's good. Okay, good. Now, this technique is useful if she's carrying a purse. So you got somebody that wants to steal her purse and she slings it over her shoulder. So what's valuable, if you have a long enough strap to put it over your shoulder, it's harder to steal a purse, you have to rip the strap. But if she's carrying a purse this way, just on one shoulder, I can come through, if I'm a bad guy, and try to steal this purse and start to run. When I do this, she's just going to go for both hands on my hand and bow and say, yes. And then she can do the knee and pop, right, in that sort of situation. So one more time. I grab the purse. I start to pull it away. She takes both hands on my hand and bow. Okay, I'll do the installation. Okay. All right. Okay.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
All right. So that's the sideways or Z-axis wrist lock. Miss Joyce, thank you for your participation. Very good, very good. Feels pretty good, huh? When you do that, you have a sense of power, especially when you beat me up. All right. Kamsahamnida. Till next time, toodles. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. In the same side wrist grab, start by doing a live hand with a slight swinging motion to enable you to reach up and grab your attacker's wrist with the hand they grabbed. At the same time, reach across and plant your free hand over the top of their hand and use it to peel their hand from your wrist. As your hand they held becomes free, slide it from their wrist to their palm, sandwiching their hand, front and back, between yours in a praying position. The hand you use to peel theirs does not need to be shifted. Bring your hands with their hand between them towards your heart and, locking them there, slightly bow towards your attacker. This uses the force of your entire upper body, not just your hands, to apply pressure to the lock on their wrist. In this technique, note that the wrist is locked in 2 dimensions. Around the y-axis, their thumb pointing down, causing their elbow to point out, and the z-axis, causing their elbow to move forward and their shoulder to lower. In a cross wrist grab, use the hand they attacked to grab their wrist. With your free hand, reach over their hand and peel it off. As you do so, spin and slide the hand they attacked so it holds their palm and faces your other hand in a prayer position. Again, bring your praying hands towards your heart and bow to your attacker. In this case, the wrist is only locked in the z-axis, with the attacker's thumb pointing toward their body. There is very little flexibility of the wrist in this direction, and the attacker's elbow will move forward and their shoulder and body will drop down in response to the pressure of the lock on their wrist. The sideways wrist lock can also be applied to a person threatening you with a finger or a fist. Sandwich their hand with praying hands and bow to your attacker. In the case of a raised fist, you may first have to rotate their hand 90 degrees after covering the middle and outside of their hand with yours.